Hi everyone, my name is Balázs. A little bit about myself because it helps understanding my presentation. I graduated as computer engineer. Haven't touched code in 10-ish years. And back then when I was working with code and working with hardware, I was working with particle physics accelerators, which is a different size than this one. So right now this gives me more pleasure to do something interesting at home, but it's very close to my heart to actually touch something, to actually do something with it and make it useful. What I'm going to talk about is a smart home setup, which you can do at home. I did it at my home, so it's completely my stuff, whatever I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what are the potentials, why I did a project like this, why on earth would you start a project like this, what gives me pleasure, motivation, interest, and sleepless nights. I'm going to show you my stuff, my setup. So it's, I'm not going to show each and every component, but I'm going to show you the components which I think was well selected for any reason, which I'm going to describe. And hopefully give you some ideas what are the different pieces of technology on the market which you can buy. I'm going to talk about automation. So if you have all this stuff, what the hell are you going to do with it at your home? And last but not least, one of my favorite topics is the community. So who to ask for help, what kind of help do you expect or would you expect, how can your friends be your enemies and stuff like that. But at the end. So potentials. I give you 5 reasons why to do this. 5 because this is our company template, so I had to pick 5. I could give you 3 or 6, but I think 5 is good enough. For me, the first reason is to get a glance at what's happening at home. So I call it overview, super simple questions. Is the gate open? Is the humidity okay? Is the temperature okay? Etc. So look at it, understand the situation and make some decisions in your mind. Watch, I have a few cameras, 5. I can watch neighbors, I can watch pets, I can watch my wife, I can watch my wife's potential partners. Hopefully there won't be any in my lifetime, but that's an opportunity. I can control stuff, so simply turning on and off things. It can be a lamp, it can be a gate, it can be anything which connects to electricity. I can get some alerts. Some of them are useful, some of them are not so much. So I cannot do too much with the information if it's raining at home. I can do something about if there is a leakage at my home, if there is some water flowing where it shouldn't be. And one of the useful stuff is movement indoors. So we have 2 pets. It's good to check if they are alive. It's good to check if they are still moving. So you can build some nasty automation on that, but that's later. And automations, if you can control stuff, if you can detect stuff, you can connect the 2. So you can make some decisions that when the cat is home, close the door behind, hopefully. When I'm at home, set the temperature to whatever degree, do something. That's the whole idea. So use case number 1, some specifics. Who of you have cats? Hands up, please. Not so many. Okay, keep your hands up if your cat is going outdoor. Keep your I'm still having my hand. Keep your hands up if you had a present from your cat lately, dead or alive animal. Okay, and keep your hands up if that animal lived with you with 2-3 weeks without you knowing. So, use case number 1, I think it's a very specific use case, it's a very valid use case. This is our cat, so that's a present, supposed to be a present. We are not on the same page with the cat. I don't like chasing animals at home, he likes. I don't like blood bats at home, he likes. Not on the same page. So there are particular use cases. I think this was on the news a few years back. you can do some interesting automation with ML, that if your cat has something in his mouth, then the door closes. No way. If the cat is empty, if it's safe to get the cat in, then you can do it. Super useful use case, believe me, super useful. In case you're wondering what's in the cat's mouth, our cat, a little story. We moved there 2 years ago. We have a walnut tree like in front of the bedroom, so every morning I look at that tree. That's a cocoa patch, or used to be. I love that animal. It was super calming every morning looking at it. I didn't realize we are not on the same page with the cat. So what calms me down, give him the nerves apparently. If anybody is wondering, that's not the cocoa patch, that's a berry. That has no value, so yeah. Cats are nasty. Okay, use case number 2, change boring stuff to something smart. So if you have anything at home, which again connects to electricity and one way or another, you can make it super fun. So I'm going to talk about this little guy here, but pretty much you see the size, you can put it anywhere, and you can make the different, that's a motion detector and a lamp, which you see. And unfortunately you don't see this guy there, but it's there. You can put it there and you can make it smart. I can turn on my lamp at home, I can turn it off if there is too much movement and I don't want it to be. All the use cases. I'm gonna come back to this. Last but not least, I think this is the most important by far for me. The inner joy of disassembling something, anything. Look at what it does, look at how it works. I spend literally days with smiling all the time to figuring out that what the hell can I do more in my house. What do I need? I need something I have to go next day. I need something I'm thinking about it all night. So for me, this is a super fun activity. I think if you are here and it's called do it yourself, IT, you might have a sense for that. But for me, even the first sentence without actually finishing it, so disassembling is good enough. So I like understanding stuff, and majority of the use cases I put it back together, but don't test my way. Okay, so my stuff, and how does this whole madness start? I think I put it in the intro, so hopefully no surprises. I pledged myself to Apple. So I had to pick an ecosystem. I had to pick a platform to connect all my stuff. I went for Apple Homekit. The benefits are that I had Apple devices, so it works with them seamlessly. I have everything in one place, so all the controls are in one place. That's super important for me. Every manufacturer, every gadget, everything has its own application, typically, or majority of the things has its own application. I don't like that. I like one place. And for Apple, whichever device works with it, it works with it perfectly. So the ones that are covered by Apple or certified as Apple, those are super fun. The ones that are not, I'm going to talk about that. The drawbacks, it costs some money after a certain complexity, or in my case, a certain number of cameras, $3 a month, so it's not too much, but it still costs money. And the HomeKit certified devices are rare and kind of expensive. So especially in Europe, especially in Hungary, so they are hard to get. If you can get it, then it's fine. But for example, at my home, like 60% of the devices is not certified with HomeKit. So what do you do? If there is something which is closed, there are people who open it up for you. So HomeBridge for me is the additional thing which I run at my home. It's a platform. It's open source. It's community based. So if you have a device, there is a high chance that somebody already made a plugin for that. So somebody made it controllable, somebody made the sensor readable. If they didn't, you can do it yourself. If they did it somehow differently than you want, it's open source, you can change it. But you have a chance to connect all the devices which are not compatible out of the box with Homebridge. So the drawbacks for this, especially in itself, that it's a limited automation. So if you want to use Homebridge as the only platform, it's not so, let's say, you cannot do everything which you can do with HomeKit or which you can do with different applications. I gave you an example like Home Assistant. It's much better if you want to do the automation in one place. That was not my choice, but it's a choice if you don't want to go with Apple. And you need a simple server to run it. If you guys are, again, in an IT meetup, high chance that you have something at home which runs all the time. Let it be a Raspberry Pi, let it be a NAS, let it be whatever, a home server, and in special cases at the back, a huge server. So with these two and with this extra information that there's a project or an open source new thing called Matter, which is supposed to combine all the devices in one unified ecosystem. So more and more devices are pledging for Matter. It's with Matter certified, and they standardize how they communicate with these devices. So you don't have to go for a Philips standard, you don't have to go with different standard. Hopefully there's going to be Matter. We know there's supposed to be USB-C, it's not there anymore, not there yet, so God knows what will happen. But it's something that started a few years back, and a month ago Apple announced that they are going to support it in the next release, which is cool in my case. Okay, so this is actually my setup a few hours ago when I made this presentation. What you can see in this slide, this is the new macOS. So if anybody of you using Apple Home and it's not familiar, they changed a bit in the new macOS betas. But this is how it looks. So it gives you an overview. It gives you the cameras. It gives you the different sensors in one glance. It gives you the different accessories, and it gives you control over them. So you can, it actually combines the different sensors in categories, which is cool if you have, for example, many temperature sensors in different places at your home, or if you have, I don't know, a vacuum cleaner which has many controls that combines it into one category, and it's broken up into different rooms. So nothing fancy or nothing super complex. So what I have, my connected devices are cameras, a gate opener, smart relays, which I'm going to talk about, different sensors, for example, rain and wind. I have a loam irrigation system, loam watering system. So if it rains, it doesn't water. If the wind is too much, then it doesn't water. So you can combine different sensors, vacuum cleaner, and different heating controllers. So for this, the supporting systems is one drawback of the Apple ecosystem, that you have to have a so-called home hub, which is a device at your home which controls everything, which is kind of stupid, but you have to have it. I have a very old Apple TV for that, which is connected to power. I have the Raspberry Pi for the Homebridge, and I have the additional controllers, which I'm going to describe. So this is my little power plant, let's call it. This is where everything is at my home in one place. Modern router is kind of standard. I have the controllers in this case for the heating system, for the radiators. I have an APC, which is I think the brand, but it's if there's a power outage, then you still have power for a certain amount of time, so you can gracefully shut down. I have an NAS, and I have a Raspberry Pi, the last component. So with this, I'm running everything at home. I brought you a couple of examples, as I said, not all of them, but the interesting ones. And one is very close to my heart, is the gate opener. It's a Hungarian product. this was a typical build versus buy decision for me. Back then I wanted something quick, and I found them. They are super friendly, they are super helpful. It's called Remotio, I don't know how to pronounce it. That, the box there. And what it does, it sends simple triggers for my gate to open. In my case, it's useful because it can send two different kinds. So one opens the gate all the way, and the other opens the gate like 20% because that's the pedestrian crossing for us. We don't have a small gate. One of the products which comes, which you plug in, which you love, it connects to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It has two sets of output controls, as I said, and the neat feature is it provides you guest keys, which you can assign to a different person for a limited amount of time, so they can actually control it with the application as well. So simply love it. Cameras, with this gentleman here, I think we had, I don't know how many hours of research. Little style story, we have a home which is kind of ready, and at the early stages when we moved in, I thought that there are different professionals who comes to your house and fixes something. Soon I realized that it's a Szakember in Hungary. This is for a reason. So for me, the unit of measurement at home is millimeters. For them, it's decimeters. So it's like sorry for the Hungarian, but I cannot express it in English. The jó lesz főnök. Is it gonna be good, boss? The answer is typically no. So after that point, after a few iterations, I decided that whatever I can fix, I fix. Whatever I cannot fix, I live with. As long as I can do that, I'm happy. So for that particular reason, the cameras had to be battery powered because there was no cabling, and I didn't want to do that by far. It had to be Wi-Fi connected, and it had to have some kind of AI because of two first reasons. Because it's not streaming all the time, it detects motions, and when it detects motion, it streams the feed for a minute or whatever duration you set. EU5 was my choice again after God knows how many hours of research. Super happy with it. It lasts 6 months. I can only recommend. Smart relays. This is the part where I said that almost anything you can make smart. It is one of the examples. What I do, or what I did, I put it behind most of the switches in my home. So you can switch it by the switch. And you can control it with your phone. It's a relatively inexpensive piece of accessory. It's like 10 euros per piece. If you order it in smaller, bigger chunks, it's even cheaper. It fits in behind your little socket, and again, whatever you want to make smart, you can make smart. It's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connected, so that's awesome, and it's small. So I highly recommend it. I put the link to every one of these. And almost last, the smart temperature control. Again, a piece of information. We don't have a passive house, but almost. So the insulation is better than it's how to say. The humidity can build up inside the house if you don't let the air in or if you don't control it. So it's one of the drawbacks. In winter, a typical morning routine is to check the windows and get rid of the water. So it's not so nice. So that's why I have many sensors at home. The two choices were the Meetup, I think it's LeBron product. With different sensors, and it was a given at our house, the Novo heating unit. It's a Norwegian heating unit where you don't need anything, you just put a Novo and it works. And one of the extras, I think it's just a little piece of information. It's not connected strictly to smart home, but if you have a home server running at your home, there is a super nice project called Pi-hole. It's an AdBlocker. You set as your DNS server, and it blocks every whatever they can block ads for all the connected devices, so you don't have to have AdBlockers on your phone or computer or whatever. You just have it in a central place, and all the Wi-Fi connected devices are free. So extra benefits. The automation part, you have all the sensors, you have everything which I just described. What can you do with it? I'm not going to go into details. I'm going to show you a very simple setup, how it can work, or how it works with the Apple Homekit. As I said, I don't know if you can see it actually, but the automations which I use the motion sensors, and I use the lights. So whenever there is motion around the house, the lights turn on, the outdoor lights, hopefully. If I arrive at home, there's a GPS data on my phone. If I getting close to home, let's put it this way, the gate opens, which is super neat because we have a very narrow street. And if the last person leaves home, I don't know what I did, but I think it was about the heating. So just a couple of ideas what you can do. I think these are very simple use cases. Again, if you want to go more complex, I don't recommend HomeKit. I would recommend Home Assistant. I think in the break you can talk to Mickey because he's more expert in that. What I have, as I mentioned, about the lights. So with a motion sensor, with Shelly, what you can do is you can control it with the motion. So you connect, so you have a lamp with a motion sensor without any switch. That's a typical setup, I think, in many cases. If you put a Shelly somewhere in the middle, you can keep the motion sensor part. So whenever there is motion, it turns on. You can control it remotely with Wi-Fi. So this is what I have. The one extra thing is that the motion sensor is not a sensor, but it's a free feed from my camera. So the camera has sensory function that it sends data to my HomeKit setup whenever there is motion, and then the lights show up. So just an idea what you can do. So community-wise, I think one of the fun parts of doing this whole thing, I put it in the first slide that if you can screw somebody else's home up, why would you do it at yours first? So seeing other people go through the struggle and everything, I think for me it's fun. So I suggest you to find crazy people, other crazy people. We have a family house fuck-ups, F***ups channel, which is very heavy traffic, so much fun. So we have Gabor, next presenter, who was rendering his bathroom tiles in whatever, I don't know what.
London.
Thank you. So you don't trust sock embers again. We have different use cases which are fun. I'm gonna leave you to this one. If you can read it. If not, it started with a simple problem from me. I want to put an outlet on the outside of my house. Simple problem. There's an insulation part. There was one guy saying that you should put the cabling within within some hard material, so it doesn't do any chemical reaction because of heat. Second post, fine. Third post from Balázs from the back, that if it gets on fire, then at least you have these little bugs around the autumn time, Polotka, and would it actually fry them? Simple question. 1 hour of research after this post, there was a chemical reaction, boiling or frying time of different materials. So he found chitin, the armor of this particular bug, and we realized that hey, actually it's not enough to burn the house down to kill these animals. Super useful information. And last but not least, 20 minutes later, our soon-to-be licensed dietitian came and said that unfortunately this particle bug is not full of nutrition anyway, so don't burn your house down. Typical March afternoon. So find crazy people. I think that's the last suggestion, and happy experimenting. Thank you.